It is official. California is a sanctuary state. State and local police will be limited in what they can ask about immigration status now. Governor Jerry Brown says it's to protect illegal immigrants living in the shadows of society. But acting ICE Director Thomas Homan says it's putting politics above public safety. And he is vowing to double the number of immigration and customs enforcement agents patrolling the newly declared sanctuary state.
There's no sanctuary from federal law enforcement. California better hold on tight. They're about to see a lot more special agents, a lot more deportation officers in the state of California. If the politicians in California don't want to protect their communities, then ICE will.
Well, the Trump administration talking tough on California's new immigration policy. But what about the hundreds of thousands of so-called dreamers, young immigrants whose legal status is unclear? As the president returns from the holiday break, he was expected to tackle the dreamers right away. But now his press secretary, Sarah Sanders, is saying the White House has other more immediate priorities. Our next guest was a potential pick to run President Trump's Department of Homeland Security. And he was photographed with a list of priorities. You remember this. Everybody zoomed in, which put illegal immigration high up on the list. Joining us now, the Kansas Secretary of State, Kris Kobach, who heads up the administration's voter fraud task force. He's a busy man. Good to see you tonight, Mr. Secretary.
Great to be with you, too.
Okay, so let's talk about the president saying this in a tweet about DACA. He says the Democrats have been told and fully understand that there can be no DACA without the desperately needed wall at the southern border and an end to the horrible chain migration and ridiculous lottery system of immigration, et cetera. We must protect our country at all cost. You know, the Democrats have said, funding for a complete wall is just absolutely a no-go. So are we going to be at an impasse? Where do we go from here?
Well, it appears that we are. At least I hope that we are. I hope that President Trump not only says, let's back up. DACA is bad policy. It's going to hurt those 800,000 illegal aliens are in their 20s and 30s. They're not kids. And they're competing for jobs with Americans who in that age group are facing 9% unemployment, 19% underemployment. So we're going to be taking Americans out of jobs and giving those jobs to DACA recipients effectively. And it's going to cause a surge in illegal immigration. So what would President Trump be willing to take that hit, that bad policy that's also going to anger his base? What would he be willing to get for that? What is he going to demand? And I think he has to demand more than just the RAISE Act, which is the end to chain migration, and more than just the border wall. He'd have to demand E-Verify mandatory nationwide as well to make sure that this new surge of illegal aliens, which will come in, there's no question. If we grant an amnesty, they will come in. Make sure that they don't take additional jobs from Americans. So I see the president sort of staking out the grounds for the discussion, but I think he needs to take an even stronger position and say, I need three things at a minimum. If I don't get all three, I'm walking. And, we know that he's a great deal maker, but I'm hoping that he holds the line and says, no, this is absolutely non-negotiable.
Well, you know that so much of what gets passed on the Hill, the vast majority of it over in the Senate, you got to have 60 votes to get anything moving. The things that you talk about are there now. Yeah. Now Republicans need 9 Democrats to come along with them, having lost the seat in Alabama. Which 9 would go and vote for those things?
That's the great question, which is why I think an impasse is the most likely outcome. And frankly, getting an amnesty, the Democrats have tried to frame this like America is demanding an amnesty for these nearly 1 million illegal aliens in their 20s and 30s. They're not. There's no demand for an amnesty. It's sort of a false crisis created on Capitol Hill. So if the Democrats are not willing to come forward and go along with these 3 things that would actually do something good for the country, a wall, not just a paltry 1.6 million, as Speaker Ryan has suggested, but the full 20 billion, the full 20 billion plus that's needed. If we don't have that and E-Verify and an end to chain migration, then it's not even worth talking about granting an amnesty because that's bad policy.
Well, you know that the Democrats are pointing to the people who are success stories, who were brought here as children through no fault of their own. Nancy Pelosi, the House Minority Leader, tweeting out about a young man named Fernando. She says he was brought to the U.S. when he was 9 years old. He's been an AP scholar, received the IB diploma, an achievement award in foreign language for French, graduated cum laude from Santa Clara University with a double major in biology and French. He is undocumented. She went on to say he's in his 3rd year of medical school now and researching important new diseases. You know that those are the people that they're going to say, listen, these people can contribute and be great assets to this country. Why wouldn't we want to help them?
And that's a really good question. But, you know, when Pelosi brings forward that one example, then I would bring forward the 2,000 plus DACA recipients who have committed felonies after they got the executive amnesty from the Obama administration, including, in a few cases, murder. So it's a cross-section of illegal aliens. The notion that DACA recipients, that this particular subsection of illegal aliens is better, more meritorious, more deserving than the rest of the broad population of illegal aliens is incorrect. You have some scholars and you have some criminals. The notion that somehow these are special people that we must grant an amnesty to is simply false.
All right, I want to quickly ask you, because you are part of the voter fraud task force that has gotten a lot of heat. People say that it's ginning up allegations about fraud that doesn't exist. It's finally going to meet again in January, but you've already been subjected to 8 federal lawsuits. How's that going?
Yeah, that's a great point. The 8 lawsuits, it's almost unprecedented. It may indeed be unprecedented. Of all the presidential commissions in U.S. history, I'm not aware of any one that has been hit with so many lawsuits, all coming from the far left of the political spectrum, groups like the ACLU, et cetera. And they're coming and trying to stop the commission. They want us to stop investigating the issue. They want us to, I mean, one lawsuit tried to stop us from having the next meeting. It just goes on. And what they are doing is trying to bog us down.